Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, live for wearechange.org, and it is now breaking that Comey is actually in the hot seat. Yes, prosecutors are interviewing Comey. So the big question now is this going to be business as usual, or are they going to hold Comey's feet to the fire? Because number one, I think there's no doubt that McCabe is going down in some direction. All right? We have a plethora of evidence that he knew what was going on with Stork and his girlfriend. We have a plethora of evidence they're covering up all of these missing text messages. We have a plethora of evidence of bias. See, these are all real things. And that's what makes it so difficult to reach people right now in this false left-right paradigm, because there were forces and are forces that don't want to see Donald Trump in office. Now, again, it's perplexing because he's gone along with a lot of their foreign policy, especially in Syria, with Israel, Saudi Arabia, you name it. He's really gone along with that. But there's a feeling in there that, yeah, they wanted Hillary Clinton in there. And the idea that Robert Mueller is, a partisan person is absolute insanity. This one is out of the Washington Post. Let's read it down the line, guys, because, again, he's being interviewed. This is breaking. I've got to wonder if it's going to be business as usual, if this is just going to be more of the same kind of thing that we've gotten. Very possible. Investigators from D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office recently interviewed former FBI Director James B. Comey as part of a probe into whether his deputy Andrew McCabe broke the law by lying to federal agents. Of course he broke the law. Listen, if perjury in the FBI were actually enforced, they'd all be in prison. Robert Mueller wouldn't be a special counsel investigator. He'd be in prison. He's lied again and again and again and again. And on this show, we showed you him endorsing weapons of mass destruction for us to go into Iraq. That's just one of his lies. But again, Robert Mueller is behind the 80,000 plus documents that the FBI still has sealed on 9/11. Ask yourself why. And the bigger question is how the left, who seem to be paying, a little bit of attention 15, 20 years ago, not quite 20. I'd say they were fighting over, obviously, the Gore-Bush thing in 2000. But after 9/11, after we ramped up past Afghanistan, people started to pay attention. And Robert Mueller was no hero amongst them. Yet now, he can do no wrong. It's ridiculous. The Justice Department Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz accused McCabe in April of misleading investigators and Comey 4 times. Now, whether he's really misleading Comey, I doubt it. I think there's a wink and a nudge there. 3 of them under oath. Misleading. I love how they've been playing this semantic game now with all these revelations coming out about the investigation into Trump. Now, I specifically remember after he had been elected, and, it's not just me remembering it, it's archived all over the place, that he pointed out mainstream publications that he indeed was being spied on in Trump Towers. And the media just attacked like rabid dogs his paranoia, his conspiracy theories. Oh, please. And then, slowly but surely, it came out that absolutely there were digital communications that were tapped. Oh, interesting. Huh. Look at that. That's true. Oh. And then you find out about Halper. I mean, we even know that and then they tell you it's great because, the Russians were getting in there. We needed Stephen Halper to save the day. Super spy Stephen Halper is here to save America from the Ruskies. I mean, it's cartoon land. It's cartoon land, and we pay that guy over $250,000, and that's just the one we know. Because I'm telling you right now, folks, it's going to come out that there are even more. It's such a charade. These people should be behind bars. Okay, we know they lied. See, no, they didn't lie, Jason. They misled. They misled. Oh, well, thank you for clarifying, Washington Post. Thank you so much. Horowitz referred to the findings to the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office to determine whether criminal charges are warranted. I'm sure they're going to say there's just no there. Right, Comey? Hey, Comey? Hey, big fella? Huh? There's no there? You know, you got to wonder what they had on, you know, the cronies and Comey and all those guys to reopen the investigation. And we know the laptop and, you know, obviously classified emails and beyond that just by looking at Podesta's emails. But at the end of the day, John Podesta's walking around a free man. There's no outward investigation. James Comey walking around a free man, a bigger celebritard than ever. Our ex-FBI, our ex-criminal FBI director is now like a mainstay pop culture celebritard. It's bewildering. It's bewildering. Let's continue with the article. Lying to federal investigators can carry a 5-year prison sentence, though McCabe disputes that he intentionally misled anyone. Of course you do, McCabe. Give me a break. And, you know, I don't even know how they're hedging their bets here. At some point, someone is going to get those text messages. And I realize that the clamps have been put down on WikiLeaks big time. I mean, big time in the last few months. Just cutting off Assange's communication. And again, the fact is I can't imagine not being able to wake up in the morning and go outside. That, I mean, he's already basically in a prison. Maybe it's a little nicer than one of the mainstay prisons here in the United States, or much nicer than a third world prison. But the man's freedom has literally been eviscerated on a false charge, and now there's even more evidence out there that there may be sealed indictments on Julian Assange that have nothing to do with the bogus charge that they say he needs to be extradited for. And let's remember, he's not an American citizen, okay? And he's just publishing documents that our government doesn't want us to see. Is that not unsettling? Is that not the marker? You know, so getting back to McCabe, you know, I don't want to see a slap on the wrist for McCabe. I'm hoping that during these questions where he's giving this testimony, they catch him lying and they decide to indict Comey. Let's start indicting him. And, you know, just to shy away from this article right now and go over here, McCabe turned over his memo on Comey's firing to Robert Mueller. You see, he makes, you know, a little memo. And I would imagine that that memo doubles down on how we need to get this president out of here in not so many words. And we'll give it to Robert Mueller's coming to save the day. That guy, he's numero uno. Give me a break. So it's hard for me to be hopeful. We've been disappointed so many times by this administration. And I believe the number is at like $20 million into this Russian investigation. It's now surpassed what the 9/11 Commission was given to investigate 9/11. $14 million initially, $15 million to whitewash the public completely. And here, there's not even evidence of a crime being committed. Obviously, there was a massive crime with massive amounts of evidence, with massive intricacies, linked to over 20 known people. And much more than that. The numbers kept going up and up and up and up. But when people like Robert Wright and others in the FBI were tracking the money to Saudi Arabians and other links, well, no. And that took, what, 16, 17 years for 28 pages in an initial congressional report given to us by Bob Graham and Porter Goss, who would become the head of the CIA during this time frame. Yeah, that's right. After he did this initial congressional report, him and Bobby Graham just happened to be in D.C. on 9/11 having breakfast with General Mahmoud Ahmed, a man who facilitated a $100,000 wire to the hijackers. Oh, I'm sorry, 100,000. Yes, was it? Yes, it was a $100,000 wire to the hijackers I think it was Atta actually, just before the attacks, in the week before the attacks. And the claim was always that this attack was so cheap to do. It was only $500,000. General Mahmoud Ahmed is the head of the ISA for Pakistan, their intelligence agency. We didn't do bombs away in Pakistan, did we? We didn't need regime change in Pakistan, did we? I mean, there was some thumping of the fists. Did a film called Fabled Enemies. You can watch Joey B, that's Joey Biden, back in the day when he's a senator, right after 9/11, talking about people that pretend to be our friends, Pakistan, alluding to their role. In fact, Luke Radowski twice gets him on the record of that funding, and the second time, he can't talk about it because that's classified. That's your ex-vice president before he's vice president. You see, if you play ball with disinformation and not telling the people the truth about events and allowing things like 9/11 to be a non-investigation so you can go in against your enemies all over the Middle East in the next level militarization and imperialization of the world, because that's what this is about, baby. It's not just U.S.-led. You know some of those allies are involved. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Let's go back. Let's keep reading this Bezos production. Yes, this is a Washington Post article. So it can carry a 5-year prison sentence, though McCabe disputes that he intentionally misled anyone. Comey's interview, while significant, does not indicate prosecutors have reached any conclusions. And people familiar with this process said it is not surprising given the allegations McCabe faces. A referral from the Inspector General does not guarantee charges will be filed. Michael R. Bromwich, McCabe's lawyer, said in a statement, "A little more than a month ago, we confirmed that we had been advised that a criminal referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office had been made regarding Mr. McCabe. We said at that time that we were confident that unless there is inappropriate pressure from high levels of the administration, the U.S. Attorney's Office would conclude that it should decline to prosecute. Our view has not changed." You see, if he gets prosecuted, obviously, let's blame it on Trump. Let's not blame it on the multitude of illegal activity that the FBI took against a presidential candidate and now the President of the United States. It just shows you that, again, as much as he goes along with them on so many things, they'd much rather have a Hillary Clinton in there where, I mean, again, there are some positive things this Trump administration has done for the economy at home, for jobs at home, things against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You know, the summit's on. We're 12 days away. I'm hoping it's happening. That's a positive to me. The North Korean summit is a positive thing. So again, you can't look at everything black and white. He's evil. He's great. Team Trump. Trump train. No, but you have to look at the evidence that these people obviously conspired against him. Okay? Let's get back to the article because now we got some more lawyer speak for you. He added that leaks concerning specific investigative steps the U.S. Attorney's Office has allegedly taken are extremely disturbing. Oh, it's the Attorney's Office. Oh, they're the bad guys. A Justice Department spokeswoman and lawyer for Comey declined to comment. Even before the allegations against him, McCabe had become a lightning rod in the political battles over the FBI and Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller III's probe. Get the F out of here. Robert Mueller III. Robert S. Mueller III. You know, I don't have hope, unfortunately, that people like this are going to see prison time. I don't have hope that Dick Cheney, that Paul Wolfowitz, that Donald Rumsfeld will ever sit before a true jury of their peers in a trial against their war crimes, against their own people, and many people abroad alike. Kissinger, still living and breathing, baby. He'll be at Bilderberg. I believe so. I think he's on the list. We'll be covering that all next week. We got some surprises coming up, some cool live streams, of course. Luke is going to be out in Italy to bring us the latest and biggest information over there, and he did just such a bang-up job. So we actually got some shirts up. Please go grab a shirt, guys, if you haven't seen them. They're very cool. We got a ladies shirt. We got a long sleeve. We've got a hoodie. And, of course, we've got a traditional tee. All right. Back to Robert S. Mueller, the third's probe on the Russian interference. Well, you know what? Thanks for saying interference. It's better than saying meddling, because that just gets I'm disgusted every time I hear that. I'm disgusted by the whole thing. But when I'm talked to like it's a Scooby-Doo episode, it gets even more annoying. President Trump has frequently attacked the FBI's former number 2 official, largely over political donations his wife took from an ally of Hillary Clinton when she ran for a seat in the Virginia legislature. McCabe was fired in March. And McCabe was fired in March because that donation was big time. And it showed obvious corruption. And that wasn't the only, Clinton connection. They were obviously, come on, Bezos. Come on, don't turn into a parody of a supervillain based on Dr. Evil. Get with it. Turn the post around, okay? Stop using it as a political tool to oppress the will of the people, because that's what you're trying to do here. The will of the people is, hey, they voted for Trump over Hillary Clinton. Start reporting on how the Syrian war is bad, okay? Start reporting on what's really going on in the Gaza Strip with Israel. Start reporting on the turmoil in Saudi Arabia after we had a roundup of royals that had been around for decades and a possible coup d'etat almost, it's actually over a month from now. Very possible we saw at least an attempted coup. No, instead we're going to spin that the FBI was totally in the right when they started spying on the Trump campaign, paying spies, paying informants, tapping electronic devices, and still never proving actual quote-unquote collusion. And actually, you've never even proven that they meddled in the election. By all means, you haven't proven anything. But we're throwing money away. We're being propagandized daily. We're being separated into a wide divide of people not being able to have a conversation with one another, instead throwing out names like, oh, you're a cuck, or you're a libtard. Like, what is going on? Or you're a racist and a Nazi. Boy, I'd rather just sit down, look at the evidence, prosecute the criminals, have a government for and by the people again, one that benefits us, instead of putting us into constant debt. So obviously this story is going to develop over the next few days. It will be interesting to see if they actually prosecute McCabe. I hope they do. I don't. He may be the fall guy. They may prosecute McCabe. And again, he ends up doing, getting the 5-year sentence. He does 13 months in an Acapulco prison or some nonsense. And the whole thing's dropped. Or maybe, and I'm not hopeful, maybe Trump finally grows some cojones and he really fleshes this investigation out and trips up Comey in this interview and he gets indicted. And there's an investigation into him and a prosecution into him and McCabe and even Mueller, who we know are criminals within our government. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. I am Jason Burmis. Follow me on Twitter at Jason Burmis. Please go get the t-shirts. Support us any way you can, because again, guys, we're about to do the Bilderberg thing. You know, Luke's been to Somalia. He was recently in Mexico, did some great work in Mexico. If you haven't seen those videos, you know, go subscribe and hit that notification button over at youtube.com/wearechange as well. Again, thank you